Yes. Let's get my microphone over here. Yeah. It's all about timing. It's all about timing. And we'll talk about timing later on today. Yes, it is Thursday. It is 9. So, of course, it's UK Cowboys time. Mr. Scotland 1 and 2. How are we?
Not too bad. Not too bad yourself.
Yeah. Always good. Yeah. How are you, Lorne? Sorry, I didn't mean to
not too bad.
And interrupt.
No. Rushing around like the proverbial blue arse fly today, but I'm able to relax now and talk some Cowboys.
That's it. We always say it every week that this show is like a duck on a pond. That's literally what it's like. Yeah. But obviously joining with us as well is one of our very great friends. You need to come on more often. We miss you too much. We do have with us the great and powerful Mr. Marcus Bluff City Cowboys. How are we, sir?
Doing great. Thank you guys for inviting me. I appreciate it.
No, we appreciate you giving us your time there.
Yeah.
How are things, mind you, over in Tennessee? Everyone seems to be in a heat wave.
Well, it's a little bit cooler today. We're dealing with a chilly 89 degrees today, so
okay,
we're feeling pretty good. Other than these consistent 99 plus days we've had the past month before.
So you have been in the thick of it as well, then?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh, nice. But I mean, the good thing is you've got some moonshine over there to cool you down.
I actually don't drink, so I'm
yeah, of course.
I got my H2O though at all times.
See, that's what it's all about. That's the most important thing.
Big old Bobby Boucher's tackling fuel.
Yeah,
that's right.
H2O.
Is it or is it Gatorade?
Oh, Gatorade sucks.
But we are here, guys, to talk all about this week in the news of Cowboys Nation. We'll look as well back at the Denver game and look forward to the Chargers game. As always, send in your quotes, your comments, anything you've got for the team and for Marcus as well, because this guy literally he knows more than we've forgotten. So, or the other way around.
Don't hype me up that much, Mike.
Yes, but you would have probably recognized him with us before many times. But yeah, I thought one of the things I was thinking about today when we look back at the Denver game, because a lot of people, you know what it's like, they get a little overexcited with the flags and everything else, which we'll get to. But I thought one way to start things off as a nice way is I thought, well, rather than looking at all the crap, first of all, let's look at the good stuff, right? So I thought, well, let's start the show off with looking at the rookies, all the rookies that we had in the game. It's mainly the ones we drafted. So I was thinking, let's start and kick things off with, obviously, the big guy, Smith, in the middle. I actually think, and you can all give me your take, and at home as well, I think for his first NFL game that he's ever played, he's out there, he's doing it. For his first game, I thought he was really good.
I have to agree. I mean, I think 2 holding penalties in the game, but one of them, I mean, was a BS call by the referees, to be honest. The guy was pancaked, and you know, when we were discussing him in the draft and everything like that, one of the things was that half the penalties he was getting were the fact that he was actually just slamming the guy to the ground, and the referees are going, wait a minute, how's that guy going to the ground so easily?
Yeah.
And I think that was the case with that one. The other one, I think, was in the fourth quarter, and there's a reason why Denver has the highest win percentage at home of any team, and that's because they're at altitude, and my God, when you're, you know, even if you've only been there 3-4 days, you're still huffing and puffing, trying to get the oxygen in the fourth quarter, and, you know, makes cowards of us all, as the saying goes.
Yeah, for me, like, overall, he done well. I'm going to be more of a
critical.
critic. Like, like, especially, like, you could say, it was his first ever game and stuff like that. I'm going to talk more specifically in one certain play, and that was the interception from PG Locke, how that worked out. That all started from Tyler Smith not blocking number 91 going into the backfield, and that left, like, his eyes were in a completely different direction and left that A gap completely open. So that will come experience. That will come like to recognize that type of stuff. I understand it's his first game, but you need like when you're going back to the game film, he'll just need to make sure he doesn't make those mistakes again. But other than that, I was quite happy with that. Like you guys spoke about the penalties, one was BS. I totally get that, but I think overall, I'm quite happy.
Yeah, my only take though with the interception that you're talking about is I actually put that more on Tyler Biadasz than I do Smith, because like I think the two were out of sync. Well, and he was hat on hat with the guy that made the pressure.
It's funny they mention that, but I do want to dive into more about Tyler Biadasz later on, and all the centers just in general, because that is my biggest peeve throughout that whole game was the center. Okay. But just a wee additional point regards to outside Tyler Smith, you could put that blame on Sammy Fehoko as well for not blocking PG Locke long enough to make him to recover to make that interception. If you look at that play, like all you had to do was just hold him off for that one extra second, and I think the ball was going to Tolbert, I believe it was at the time, that led to the interception. But anyway,
it might have been. I'm trying to remember myself. I have slept since then.
Yeah, I'm almost certain it was Tolbert.
Yeah.
Was intended to.
So it's kind of hard to blame Cooper Rush for that, because he was getting clobbered, and also Fehoko didn't leave enough time to put the initial block on PG Locke, number 37 for the Broncos, to make the play. I mean, fair credit is due to number 37. He made a really great play, managed to get out of the situation and made an outstanding play for it. So that was good defense on Denver's side of things. We just need to make sure we step up going forward for that.
Yeah. I mean, because like a lot of people are, I know I said we'd talk about the rookies, but we'll kind of get back to that, because you did mention about Cooper Rush as well, that he was bad. All right, I'm not going to say he was good, because he was behind on his timing and his passing. Those balls were sailing on him, but I mean. You, at the same time, what you can't do is say Cooper Rush was the problem, that he was a bad quarterback in that game, because he got no rhythm. Like when you're being pressurized as well as the penalties, there's just no rhythm there. What's he supposed to do with that? I don't know what you guys make of all of
that. 100%. I mean, I think that the offensive line, running game wise, obviously we got 150 yards off the backs, and I mean, you're talking Malik Davis and Rico Deldo.
He did look
only had 8 and 9 carries respectively. I thought that was very good. The pass protection though was flawed, and that is, I mean, that's something that has to take a while to gel, and in game action as well. You need it. You can do all you want in practice, but until you actually get into proper game action, or I suppose these scrimmages that we're having against Denver and the Chargers today and yesterday, that'll help build it as well. But, it takes time for that to gel. So your passing game is normally the weaker link until probably maybe even second or third week of the season, to be honest.
Fourth week, easy.
Yeah. Marcus, you would like to say something there, sorry?
Oh, yeah. Just talking about, I mean, Lauren pretty much hit everything I was about to say. Talking about
damn you, Lorne.
Still no thunder.
No, that's great. That's great though. Talking about Tyler Smith in his debut, I mean, look at the amount of rush we had.
Yeah.
I mean, our worst running back was 4.5 yards a carry, and a lot of that was behind Tyler Smith. So that's one of those things that we definitely haven't seen in years past. Talking about that holding call. By the letter of the rule, that was a holding, but I agree. That should not have been called.
I'm definitely with you. Ticky-tacky is what it was.
Right. That was a simple, if he just reset, he would have got the same results, but he let his body kind of be this way while he was taking the guy down. And we have to remember, refs don't have the ability to have the hindsight of slow motion and replay.
Yeah.
If you're a ref on the field and you see a guy turn this way and the guy's going that way, without hesitation, that's a holding. But that's very simple for him to fix.
Yeah. And bear in mind as well, Marcus, I'm sure you'll agree to this, and the guys, because they played the game themselves, is that this is also preseason for the refs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, that's very true. Yeah. So let's just get all the flags out while we're at it. Just let's get the rust out of our pockets. Get all the cobwebs out.
They are going to miss those sort of things. Where normally you would think in a season they would be like, yeah, I've seen this before. I've seen this player do this, and it isn't actually it's a 50-50. Right. Whereas in the preseason, they haven't really been, things are moving a little faster for them at the moment. So they're just going to throw the flag because they're just like, it's got to be. It's got to be.
And talking about that busted play, I just want to hit this point really quick because nobody's touched it. Personally, from looking at the formation, I thought it was the center's fault, but we can go back and forth on that all day.
I'm with you.
One thing nobody's talked about is the rotation of linemen. I mean, Farniok was coming in every other play at center and guard. Braylon Jones was coming in. McGovern was coming in.
Yeah.
That's a lot of moving parts, and we all know offensive line is all about continuity.
Absolutely.
So you just don't know what caused that to happen other than just too many guys rotating in and out and somebody just forgot an assignment.
Where the communication went wrong. Yeah.
See, and that's the thing I really want to talk about is the offensive lineman communication. If you don't have your set grounds of and like Marcus is saying, the continuity, you've got different people running about you, and they may not get what you're trying to understand or whatever. Not and one of the things I'm really wanted to figure is our ability of double teams. It was terrible, absolutely terrible, and in particular at the center position, where we're whoever's so Tyler Smith does a great job of actually doing the initial block, but the person that's coming in for the double team is too much engaged. It should be more of a hit and go back to your A gap or whatever, B gap. A gap. Sorry,
A gap.
You got it.
It shouldn't be going still trying to drive the guy 5 yards down the back lane and leave that whole gap open. You know what I mean? I'm just and it wasn't just Tyler. Farniok was the same, and McGovern. I can go all night on McGovern how terrible he was. I'm sorry, but I think now, me personally, I've seen enough of Conor McGovern. He's in his 4th year with the team. He's not really stepped up to the plate. I don't think he's worth being in the backup. I'm sorry, I might be sound too harsh and critical about it, but unfortunately, that's just the best we've got in terms of backups. We haven't brought anyone else in to even be a decent backup right now. Yeah. So we're kind of stuck right now. So I don't know what you guys think. I don't know if I'm being unfair about it.
No, I do think that this is Conor McGovern's last season. I think that
I agree,
especially with the investment that they put in not just in draft pick, with time with the coaching staff and everything else. That unless he all of a sudden figures it out, he's pretty much he's done, especially in a backup role. But I think what you're seeing is definitely them trying very, very hard to not find a role for McGovern, but it's quite obvious at the moment what you're seeing is that they're putting McGovern in a lot because they'd going, right, the Tyrone Smith situation, when it does raise its ugly head, which it will at some point.
Tyrone
Smith, yeah. that what you're going to see is that what they're doing is they're going, what's that going to look like? And that's what they're doing. I think more than anything, that's why we're seeing so much in and outness. And Alcon did do good. He was better than Josh Ball.
Yep.
In fairness, I'll give Josh Ball some credit. He actually had a good first quarter.
Yes.
I thought
where did he play then?
He played left tackle.
No, on the right.
No, he was playing at the left tackle.
I think he was better when he was on the right.
Well, from the game, from the clips I saw, I thought he was actually more effective on the left as well. I thought he did all right. Kept him, especially setting the edge, making him force out too wide and giving Cooper Rush more time to what he had to do and actually kind of help open the gaps a bit more. I thought he did all right there, but he did slightly decline as the game went on. Whether that's just, I don't know what it could be, introducing new types of plays, whether the playbook's too overcomplicated, pull it. That was another thing I wanted to raise as well, not just so much Josh Ball, but the pulling guards and tackles. I don't know, and I could see your face, like, kind of agreeing with me on what I'm about to say here, Marcus. It's like, do you know, think it was just like way too congested. It was just like there was no point in them becoming a swing guard or tackle because they were just already hitting the center and the wall already because the blocks weren't getting made. Exactly. So it was like literally just twisting the dial. That's all it was. It's like just basically doing that rather than doing a swoop, which should have been it. It was so weird to watch.
I mean, I think one of the things you got to factor in as well. This is Josh Ball's first preseason game as well. He never played. Never got played.
Essentially, this is his rookie year as well. Essentially,
yeah. I mean, and you think he hasn't actually played meaningful football since that'd be 2020. So in college as well. So I mean, it'll take it takes a bit of time for him to ramp up, and I think. As Paul says, he started off well, and I think as the game went on, he wore down. The pace got too much for him, and that's when the holding calls came in for him. The busted play with Tyler Smith, where they did a cross stunt, and one went one way, the other guy to the other one, and busted play or whatever. That's things that can be worked on. Yeah. I don't think it's still a work in progress. I don't think it's time to cut him loose or anything like that.
No.
There is a guy that we drafted last year that I actually think, his time is numbered, and obviously with his off-field issues as well. But we'll get onto the defense shortly as well.
So just to add on as well, and I'm going to throw the question. I'm sorry, I'm taking this one over here, mate, but I need to ask this.
Go for it, man.
What on earth is Joe Philbin got to do to try and prevent this from happening? The penalties, like he's now been with the Cowboys since 2020. Like you could say. A lot of the success in the offense has been high scoring, but at the same time, it could have been a hell of a lot more if it wasn't for those penalties from last season in 2020. It's like nothing's been fixed, essentially. Like, is it down to the style of coaching, the technique, or whatever? Like, how is he going to fix this? Because I'm literally about to do an article about this stuff, and I'm just like, I'm clueless to know what we're going to do. Should we bring in someone else or what? Like, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I think don't worry about it.
The holding penalties it's something that there's always holding on every play. It's just a case of whether the refs see it or not.
That's right. Yeah.
It's the other penalties that we had, like
the offsides.
The offsides. Now Sam Williams rushing the passer penalty, roughing the passer penalty. That was BS because if you watched it, it was one step and a hit. It wasn't
nice segue.
I think the minimum was 3 steps. I think the minimum, like to retain the penalty, is like 1, 2, 3, then hit.
Yeah, that was a terrible.
But it literally was a terrible 1 step call. And a hit. So that was BS. You had, who was it? Dante Fowler.
Yes. Oh, he looked really good. I liked Fowler.
He looked good. Yeah. I thought Gallimore looked good as well. But there was a bonehead. There was a bonehead pass rush from Fowler. They got a pass one. You've got guys jumping. You got guys jumping. Kelvin Joseph lining up in the neutral zone. I mean, we haven't had that since who was it? The guy that we brought?
Randy Gregory. Randy Gregory.
Randy Gregory, and who was the guy that we brought in late in 2020 as well?
Bradley and I.
No, ex Seattle Seahawk.
Bennett.
Bennett.
Yeah.
Bennett was. I mean, Bennett, his entire career was actually constantly jumping off sides or lining up in the neutral zone. And
it's in 2019, was it not? Was it not in Jason Garrett's last season, rather than under Mike McCarthy?
You might be right. It all merges into one when you get my age.
That's true.
No, but I mean, like, to go back to your question, Paul, my personal opinion about the penalties that at first glance you go, oh God, here we go again. But when you actually stop and you look at it, you're just like, I'm not going to be that concerned. It's a preseason game, first game. Not a lot of the first team players were on there. Not
That's
even
true.
the second stringers. Yep. A lot of it was, you can say bad calls. The refs are in preseason mode too. Yeah. I just think that the calls that are bad, I'm not going to be concerned about the holding calls during preseason. I'm just not. One, they're rookies as well, so they're still learning the speed and what the refs are looking for, because that's a big thing. And I just think that at this stage, don't worry about it. Like the problem you got, right, is there's too much put into preseason when really, when you stop and you think about it, and Lorne already said it a little bit earlier, preseason for your first string players are like the first 3 weeks of the regular season.
Yeah.
I mean, let me add this also. Just something I noticed about Tyler Smith that's going to be a major improvement from Connor Williams outside of just the strength. Second level blocking.
Yes.
Tyler Smith already gets it. Like, he knows, like Paul talked about this before, getting that little chip, letting the other guy engage, then you go get the next guy. He did that perfectly the entire night. And that's one of those things that will prevent holding calls, because now you have a guard who actually knows how to give that chip so that the center can get fully engaged before he goes to the next level. Connor Williams was one of those guys who kind of like had tunnel vision.
Yeah.
He'd be too focused on this instead of going to the next person. And then that caused guys to get hooked. And he's trying to reach for the second level guy and getting really grabby with them. So I think that's going to improve holding calls a little bit as well.
Yeah. And another added thing to add into preseason as well with the whole flag thing is, and I think was pretty obvious, that what you got to think about with preseason is that it's not about the teams, about individuals. And they really put in a game. They're not scheming. They're having a game plan before the game starts. They're not scheming throughout the game. They're just going, this is our plan. This is what I want to see. Don't worry about the score. I want to see what you can do. And it was obvious what they were trying to do. They were really going heavy on the run game. You already attested to it, Marcus. They were going, let's see what we can do on the run game. Let's establish a run game and see what we've got. On the other side of the ball, you see the opposite. The D-line are going, let's stop the run. Let's really see what we can do. And you looked at it, 1.8 yards per rush for the Denver Broncos running backs. And that's really what they were doing. So then when all the penalties start coming out, they're not going to be bothered by it. It's not. I'm not concerned about it either, because they're trying to establish something with what they've got on their roster with their team, and they're going, let's try this out. If the penalties happen, they happen. The only issue why people are making so many big issues is that the last game that we had against San Francisco, 14 flags. This game then is 17 flags, and they put the two together and they go, well, the last two games is, and then it's a big problem. And when you stop and you think about it, in the San Francisco game, the penalties...
I'll stop you there, mate. I wouldn't say it's a big problem. It's just something we need to be aware of going forward.
If it's happening in the regular season and it's still going on, we're going to change this discussion altogether. But right in preseason, nah, sorry, not worried.
Maybe I'm too
I mean,
harsh.
all this game proved is that Denver's backups as a unit were better than our backups as a unit.
Yeah,
their second and third strings. You know, the plus point here is that you're never going to see. Well, you really hope you're never going to see that second string unit as a full unit on the field in the regular season. You're going to see little guy. You're going to see one or two players coming in to fill in for injuries that are par and par for the course throughout the regular season. But, if you're coming down with the second string line there, something's gone seriously wrong for your season, and you might as well start tanking for whoever's going to be the first pick next season,
Yeah. Because it's the same argument you have with the cornerbacks.
Yeah.
Like, people complaining about, like, Nation Wright. Like, that isn't a true reflection of an NFL game. Like we just said now, they were really trying to stop the run. So they weren't putting much pressure on the quarterback, which means you put in a lot of work on your cornerbacks. And what do you see from Nation Wright? The start of the game, really, really good.
Yep.
Doing his job, locking it down. As the game progresses, he's getting worse and worse. It's because you can't, like, in reality, you can't ask a cornerback to do what he was trying to do for 4 quarters. It's impossible. There's no pressure on the quarterback. They're not really rushing. You look at it, 0 sacks. So, like, you can't expect a cornerback to do it all. And then they're going, oh, yeah, you look at him, and you're like, yeah, but you're watching the highlights, and you're watching what Nation's Right doing towards the end of the game. Like, that's impossible to do.
Mm-hmm. There's a teaching point from that game for Nation Wright, though. The point where he went downhill was when he got flagged for defensive holding. And it got inside his mind, and he was thinking about what he was doing, and
didn't brush it.
That had him second guessing himself.
Yeah,
he has to have that mindset. Oh, I've given up a flag. Fine.
Yeah,
deal with it and go on and carry
get that
on.
chip back on your shoulder.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, I know everybody's chomping at the bit to get the defense, but
we've
got to talk about one more positive from the offense, especially from these rookies.
Go on.
There's going to be some tough cuts to make at that tight end position.
Oh yeah,
Hendershot.
Jake Ferguson looked good too, Paul.
Ferguson looked good. In fact, Ferguson saved another interception by running in and making a block almost on the guy that was about to catch it as well. So
I don't think he dropped a pass either thrown his way, did he?
That's one thing I noticed. He's very secure with the ball handling.
Yeah, he's not a yards after catch guy. He's not a yak guy.
No.
Like, because I think there was one of the catches, if I remember rightly, and some 5'10", 190-pound defensive back come from behind and managed to bring him down.
There we go, Jeremy Sprinkle on the bubble.
Yeah,
bubble screen.
Especially he's just tweaked his Achilles again, so he's going to be sitting out. So I think very least he's on IR to start the season.
The only trouble I think you've got with Sprinkle, and I don't know what you guys think on this. I'll set you guys up and let you answer. You're going to go down the category of type. That's where I was going. Is Sprinkle when you think about it, right? So Schultz, Hendershot, Jake Ferguson, and Sean McEwen. They're all fairly similar in that that YF type tight end.
Yeah.
But Sprinkle is a pure inline tight end blocker. So the other guys cannot do what Sprinkle does. Now, bear in mind, I think that all 4 of the other tight ends are better than Sprinkle.
100% agree.
Yeah, but it's what Sprinkle can provide for your offense that the other guys cannot do.
Exactly.
I was actually going to go.
What would you do?
Not even offense, because people label me the special teams guy. Yeah. He played 50% of special teams for us. None of these other tight ends have done that. And just from roster development, you have to have a special teams guy from the tight end position.
Agreed.
It's true.
There's no other position that can do what a tight end does in special teams. That can
with that body type.
Right, that body type.
Yeah.
So you have to have a guy who can play special teams, and that's gonna maybe keep him around, but it's gonna be a tough cut. Very
because what are you gonna get rid of? Yeah, exactly.
Just want to give a wee shout out to DJ Dog for all the comments he's bringing in right now. Some of them are absolutely brilliant.
On fire.
He's on fire tonight, so keep them coming, my guy. Keep them coming.
Yeah, but I was very thoroughly impressed with Jake Ferguson because he did more than what I was expecting. Because I was really thinking Jake Ferguson, he's only going to be there in sort of 12-man situations. I'm thinking if you need to, he could. He's not the same as Schultz. But if you needed Schultz to come out for a play or two and you want to put somebody in, Jake Ferguson, I think, is that for 1 or 2 plays, he will do enough to hold your own on that play.
Yeah. And they were all solid on blocking, which is a big surprise.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Yeah. Like, because if you needed him to go in for a couple of plays, you can have Ferguson in it to block if you need to, or he'll run around for you.
So, hypothetically speaking, right, this is so early to even mention this. If we're seeing how Jake Ferguson develops, right, and even as a second stringer,
I know where you're going,
Schultz. You know where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
Is there any point of us actually keeping a hold on Schultz for a longer term contract?
Yeah. I.e. explains the tag.
Yep.
Yep. I think as soon as there wasn't a deal signed, I think that the plan was that they might have lightning in a bottle with Ferguson. They want to see that if Ferguson produces this season, even as a second string, the prediction would be obviously that the curve goes up.
Well, bear in mind as well, a couple of years ago, Dalton Schultz was a third stringer.
Yeah,
right. He was struggling to make the roster.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Well, a couple of years ago, he did have Jason Witten ahead of him at one point as well. And, as we've discussed before, he got drafted the year that Jason Witten retired the first time. Played one season or made the practice squad that first season. Came back the second season, and he was third string behind Jason Witten and Jarwin and what have you. And finally, we're seeing him year 3, year 4. He's come on. So.
Yeah, bear in mind, Tank almost wasn't on this team.
That's true.
He was about to walk out the door. But let's go over to Sam Williams, the other rookies that we'll talk about. I think he did okay. He did fine. There was nothing good, nothing bad. I see nothing good. He did everything was expected. There was nothing bad. You kind of I know it was limited snaps he was on because they were trying to do other things. I think what he did, you watch it and you go, yeah, okay.
Well, as you may know, I was very skeptical when we did draft him and stuff like that. But from already what I've seen so far is lower like sense of gravity in terms of like coming in for the pass rush is definitely a lot lower coming into the offensive lineman. So that already shows improvement. Right. So that I'm quite happy about. If he continue on that progression and the way he showed during that preseason game, then I will happily put my humble pie in the oven ready.
I was the opposite of you, Paul, because I told you guys the last time I was here. The kid still doesn't know football really. Like he's learning on the fly, and he's a quick learner because it's showing.
See that's one thing I was quite surprised about how quick of a turnaround. So all fair credit to Sam Williams. So. I guess I'll be eating humble pie sooner rather than later.
He's already playing left end, right end, 3-tech, stand up.
There was a little
all in one.
I know. Did you notice him from the 2-point?
Yes.
I noticed that.
And the one thing I've picked up on as well, there was an interview on the Doomsday podcast with Dan Quinn, and Dan Quinn was saying that what he was getting from Micah last year, where Micah was asking for this, that, the other. Sam Williams is doing the same in film room. He's putting in the extra work as well, so he realizes that he needs to step up. He's probably seen some of the criticism about being picked in the second round as opposed to the third round in most people's grades. He knows he's going to come in and shut everybody up, make them eat humble pie, all that sort of stuff. And if what he's learning off the field can translate onto the field, which it looks like it is, then great. The sky's the limit for him as well. And then this defense is just going to be absolutely monster.
Yeah. I mean, he's looking fine. Like I say, it wasn't perfect, but basically, if you had a little checklist on Sam Williams and you go, this is what I need you to do. You just went tick, tick, tick. Went tick, tick, tick. Okay, right, moving on. And I think that's down to the limited amount of snaps. I think that was a good analogy of what probably the coaches for the Cowboys were doing. We're going, Sam Williams, okay, tick, tick, tick. Right, bring him off. That's it, done. One where I think we are going to struggle to put ticks on though is Jaden Tolbert. Looked a little shaky.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
Especially
bright lights, do you think? First NFL game?
He was pretty much, I think he was like under, I don't know if it's just because it's the NFL jitters or whatnot, but him pretty much being acting as wide receiver number 1 in that game. He was treated that way. So I don't know if it was just
a lot of pressure on him going into the season as well.
But he's somebody who in college was used to taking making the hard catches across the middle of the field, and
high number of reps too and targets.
There was a couple of passes where I think there was one on third down or something, and it was even just sort of curl route, and he was meant to stand there and take it, and he just. It was almost Terrence Williams, the alligator arms, and he no strength in his body as well. I mean, the Love of the Star podcast with Bobby Belt and Brian Broaddus, they'd picked up on that he just, it was like, oh my God, I'm going across the middle and there's Nick Chubb coming down at me or whatever, or not Nick Chubb, Bradley Chubb, is it?
Bradley Chubb,
oh, he's coming at me or whatever. Oh God, and just froze. So he needs to work that out. But
because what I think, I don't know what you think, Marcus, with Jaden Tolbert, is I think some of it is that you know what it's like with college football. Very, if you're out athleticism-izing, if that's a word, there we go. I just created a new word. If you're like outdoing other players as you do in college, that's the way it works. Very, you might meet one or two good corners or linebackers in your college career that are better than you in terms of athleticism. All of a sudden, when you come into the NFL, like Jaden Tolbert found out, it's like all of a sudden you're always meeting that good cornerback, that good line. And I think that's maybe what you need. All of a sudden he's just like, oh, this is what it's. And like you said, bit of nerves thrown in there as well. All of a sudden you're realizing all the players are good. You're not all of a sudden the better athlete. What are you making of the Jaden Tolbert situation in Denver, and how do you think he's going to progress from that?
Yeah, I think all of you guys hit all the points. For one, he was kind of treated like the number one guy for NFL first game. That's kind of something to be aware of. Something that stood out to me, he played a lot of slot as well. Yeah, that's a new position for him. In college, his role in college would translate to more of the Z receiver.
Yes, 100%.
More of just a pushing it downfield. Most of his routes are going to be
9 routes,
10, 15 yards or more. And in this game, they were asking him to run more comebacks and drags and posts. And it's something new for him. Yeah. So I think that's just something he has to be familiarized with. The combination of having to run more intermediate routes and kind of being the guy at that time. And plus, below average quarterback play.
Yeah, that's not going to help too. But and as well, I don't know what you think on this, because Kellen Moore likes to switch his formations up quite a lot, play by play. Where in college, that's not really the case, and I'm wondering if maybe that had a little bit of a psychological effect on him as well. Like, where do I need to be? Am I in the right place? Second guessing before the snaps are even gone. Yeah. Where you get into a rhythm with it, and then he'll find his way, and then it all smooths out. That's what I feel. But let's talk about, for me, I think this player was the rookie player of the game, and that is, of course, Deron Bland. I mean, he was just unfair. You know what you want from a corner? He was draped in swagger, confidence, and he just looked unfazed. It looked like he'd been doing it, like he wasn't a rookie. He was like he was a veteran.
At multiple positions.
Yeah, you just took the words right out of my mouth. What did you like about Deron Bland's game? I mean, there was so much to take away from it, but what did you specifically like, Marcus?
Well, I'll say this because I'm kind of like Paul. I'll gladly humble pound this one. Watching him in college, I thought there's no way
nothing there. Yeah.
NFL cornerback. I thought he had to convert to safety. Yeah. At best, he could be a zone nickel guy. I did not see the coverage ability in his play. But he played multiple positions, left side, right side, inside. He got his hands on the ball consistently.
Yeah.
He was always in. If he didn't get his hands on the ball, he was always in position on the cornerback, no matter what route they ran. And that's just something you don't normally look for in a young guy like that. He gets it. Just bottom line, he knows the position. He understands how it's to be played, and his technique looked well.
Yeah. And like when things were going wrong, he just looked like he just had the confidence to just be like, it's okay, I've got this. Yeah. Don't worry about it. Just watching it like, this is wild. Where did this come from? But what about you, Lorne, Paul, whoever wants to go next? Bland, looking good. Yeah, I think he makes the roster.
I'll be perfectly honest. I didn't really pay much attention to the corners because I'm a D-line and the O-line guy.
Yeah. So
you're
the trench guy.
Lauren, On you go wild.
Yeah, I mean, he leapt out on the screen to me, to be honest. You know, again, probably going into this game, he was maybe going to be corner number 4, number 5 at best. I think he is definitely, you know, obviously the news in the last 24 hours is that Jordan Lewis is going to be out for a little bit of time. I can see him stepping up to the nickel corner ahead of Nashon Wright and Kelvin Joseph. So
we'll talk about him in a second, but keep going.
Yeah, so I mean, he's certainly solidified the position there for himself on this team, and I think the defense as a whole. I mean, you know, where do you make the cuts this year? Defensive line, particularly defensive tackle. I mean, again, we're talking Tristan Hill's had a great camp so far.
Yeah.
Bahana, the talk going into the game, Bahana was maybe a little bit behind Ridgway. Ridgway, whether it was the injury that he picked up in the scrimmage on Thursday or whatever, but he just looked like he was lining up, standing up, and you know, putting the minimum amount of pressure on. But Bahana was a force in that line there. He's following it up by all accounts in the Chargers scrimmages at the moment. So, you know, where do you make the cuts along the defensive line?
Yeah. It is a tricky, because to me, right, you let's go and talk about the cornerback depth, because this is a sneaky one. Because for me, right now, I've got we know who the top 3 are, and you mentioned Jordan Lewis with the injury. I've got Nashon Wright, Deron Bland. You've got to keep CJ Goodwin. You've got to. I just see there being no choice.
Special teams.
For special teams, yeah, basically. And when you think about it, what they'll do every year is they go to your special teams coordinator and they go, right, we're going to give you X amount of guys, 3 guys. Yeah. And I can guarantee Fossil's going to go, one of them is going to be CJ Goodwin. And when he does that, now you have to sit there and you go, so what are we doing with Kelvin Joseph? Because right now, he did not look good. He was making mistakes. He was stepping offside. The start of the game, he wasn't so bad, but it tailed off quick with him. I know a lot of people will say he gave up the touchdown. I'm not going to really be too concerned about that because of how he was being utilized on that play.
Yeah.
So I think I don't know what you guys think. I think it's going to be a struggle for him to make the 53.
Let me say this really quick.
Joseph.
Yeah.
We said that from the get-go.
Yeah, I think Joseph can start looking for studio time around September, you know.
The only thing that's saving him right now is that 2nd-round pick.
Right. And let me say this really quick, because when I look at roster development, I have 5 rules that I go by. I've used these rules for 10 years, outside of Rico Gathers, and maybe another guy I can't think off the top of my head. They've always worked for me. When I look at who makes the team, it's the starters, the immediate backups, the guy that's too expensive to cut, the 1st and 2nd year drafted players, and then the core special teams guys. Yeah. When I look at the cornerback position for the first time, all those guys fit that criteria. And then we've got Deron Bland right here, who's been the best playing corner. So, and he was he 5th round also? 4th round?
I think he was. 5th round. Yeah.
So we got 7 guys who all fit that criteria. I don't know. This is the first time I can say I don't know who's going to get cut from a position.
And here's the funny thing is we're talking about cornerback depth as a Dallas Cowboys fans.
Right.
And like going, I don't know. We got so much choice. It's not right.
And
we've had COVID, we've had a war, gas prices going up, and now we've got a cornerback rich conversation that we're going on about in Dallas Cowboys. The world's gone upside down. But I mean, because we mentioned we sent a question in before, and we said this. We said, and you can answer if you want, Marcus. Kelvin Joseph, this situation with him. At what point do you call him a bust? How much time has he got?
I give every player 2 years, but like you guys said, there's a chance he doesn't get 2 years.
Yeah.
I mean, we gave Dwayne Goodrich 3 years, and he actually did kill somebody. I hate to say that,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
we gave him 3 years, and it doesn't look like Joseph's going to get the same treatment.
Yeah, because there is that too. Because bear in mind, the NFL goes by its own schedule as well, and I mean in terms of headquarters, because there is, no matter what you say, there is this looming. There is going to be one. There's a suspension. So now are you really gonna drop Deron Bland for Kelvin Joseph, could miss the start of the season? The first month of the season, when you've already got issues with some players starting the season injured or on injured reserve, waiting to come back. Are you really going to do that?
Right. And really quick, shouts out to Joe joining from Italy. Thank you for tuning in.
Yeah.
And DJ Dog makes another great comment. Mukwamu played almost exclusively at cornerback in that game, which is very interesting.
And he got an interception.
Exactly.
Today.
In practice.
Was it today? Was it today or was it yesterday?
No, today.
Both days.
No
I
way.
think. I know
yesterday, I think.
Yesterday, yeah. These days are just all blending into one blur at the moment.
But so now that's another guy you have to consider at the cornerback position, and he stands out from everybody else, in my opinion, in terms of his look.
Yeah, in terms of like body size and shape, and yes, because you know as well, the Cowboys are quite confident in their ways of didn't work a corner, right? We'll put you back to safety,
right?
They will do that, as we've seen. So yeah, that is a tricky conversation to have, an even trickier conversation to have, mind you, is what do we do with kicker?
No. Oh dear. Yeah.
Brett Maher's back in the building.
SpongeBob SquarePants.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Cameron Dicker's been released by the Rams. He was being used as a punter in the Rams camp. So, maybe when everybody gets back to Dallas next week, you maybe have another kicking carousel going on. But I mean, I'm certainly the interesting thing, and again, this was another podcast I was listening to this week. There is a complaint that maybe Jake McQuaid's not performing to scratch this year. The snaps haven't been, even with some of the punt snaps to Anger as well, they've not been the best, and Anger's had to sort of adjust to them, which probably led to one of the punts almost getting blocked in the game on Saturday night. So I think it was Brothers again was saying that in his podcast.
It's quite interesting. I haven't noticed it, but I'll have to take a look.
So there might be a need to have a look at what else is there for long snappers. And I think Garibay, when he got released, that was one of the things he'd actually said to one of the reporters is that, to be honest, the problem that he was having wasn't necessarily his kicks. It was the timing of everything, the snap, the hold. So if they're having difficulty with that, you can understand why these kickers are. Now, Maher's back because last year he was with the Saints and I think he kicked 16 to 18. Supposedly he's a different kicker. We never got to see that on Saturday night. We'll probably get to see him this week.
There is news, mind you, Lorne. I think Dave Hellman, that so far, when they have decided to do kicking practice at the moment, that when Maher's been in and kicked, he hasn't missed. He's been perfect.
Yeah.
But then he was perfect when he was going up against Dan Bailey, and then we cut Dan Bailey, and
thank you, Lauren. Thank you, Lauren. I was about to say
your video that you posted this week with all the misses that as enjoyable watching as it was now, as it is now. At the time, it was probably making a lot of us red raw. So
Marcus, have you seen the video yet?
I haven't seen it. I got to check that out after.
Yeah,
It's a bit of a. That's why Paul was singing SpongeBob Square, because I put the SpongeBob Square music.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's so
but did it was? I knew you'd like it, Paul. I knew you put a little smile on that cute little.
Is
face
it on Twitter or Facebook?
On Facebook, on our Facebook. But do you think, Paul, that there's a little bit with Brett Maher than the old "fool me once" situation, that we're going down this road, or does he deserve the chance?
Everyone deserves a chance, I guess. I mean, who knows? He could be going for a different program. It could have, like, I don't know, it could have been some type of from undisclosed injury he's not willing to tell, and it may be all good. We don't know. We don't know. But everyone's initial thoughts, even myself, I'm not particularly thrilled about it.
Yeah.
But if he starts knocking out 65-yard field goals, game-winning field goals, then he's trying to be an instant hero again. So as long as he doesn't miss, he's,
But if the game's tied at 16 in the third quarter and he misses a 45-yarder, I'm going to be upset.
Yes,
and that's the sort of thing he does.
All the short range kicks is the problem.
Yeah, the money kicks, the bread and butter kicks of the kicker, like the 30, 35, 40 yards.
Yeah, it's within 40, between
30
under
40.
50 and 35. It seems to be his biggest problem. And it doesn't matter if it's outdoor stadiums or indoor stadiums. It doesn't seem to matter. It still hooks it left or hooks it right. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. I wonder, though, if they're going to go for like this, which is why we haven't seen much kicking practice, mind you. And I'll ask you this one, Marcus, and then we'll move on to Chargers quickly, is like, if you remember with Jason Garrett, we had Dan Bailey, so we had that safety blanket. So do you think, and like, it was always seemed to be with Jason Garrett was march downfield, set up a field goal. We got Dan Bailey, it's okay. I wonder, though, if there's going to be a little reverse of this, where it's march down, oh, right, we got a 4-yard field goal and it's 4th and 2. Let's go for it. So a little bit of the opposite. Do you think that's where it's going?
I think that's going to be dictated with how well the running game looks when we have our best 5 out there with Zeke. If they look similar to what we saw in the week 1 of preseason, I think we're going to start taking more chances on 4th down.
I think so too.
And plus, we have better tight ends as well. So I think when we go into our 12 packages on a short 4th and short, I think they like their chances a little bit more than they did last year when we had to rely on Blake Jarman to make a block to get us 3 yards. Or we had to rely on Connor Williams pushing somebody off the line of scrimmage to get 1 yard.
Like, I would like to think that that's where they're going. The only trouble I have is they had an opportunity to test this in his preseason game. And it was 4th and 1, and they decided to throw it. And I was just like, this is everything's a little discombobulated in what you're trying to do. It's obvious you're going down the run game route. And now we're 4th and 1 and you're throwing it. And I was just a bit confused with that, where you had an opportunity. Like, if they had run the ball, I would be like very confident that that's where they're going down the road. But then they throw it, and then it's it's failed. It's failed conversion because I think it went to Jaden Tolbert and he dropped it, I believe.
Yep.
But that has the effect that it makes defenses second guess themselves. It's the same as when Brian Anger's doing warm ups, Jim Fassel has him throwing passes so that the special teams are going, wait a minute, he can throw the ball, right? Okay, let's not go for a complete rush all the time. We need to have guys in coverage. So it's just you're trying to be in preseason. You're trying to be vanilla. You're not trying to show off your entire playbook, all your gadget plays, but little things like that, throwing a pass 25 yards down the field on 4th and 1. If I remember rightly, we actually on one of them. We'd actually completed it, and it got wiped out by a holding call.
Yeah,
so that because I think Rich came on, and I was looking at our group chats on Sunday morning, and Rich goes, "Bloody hell, holding call wipes out a 4th down and 1, completed pass and all that." So that's an area, but it is that sort of. Given the opposition, that's a little bit of a mind game.
Yeah. But I know you're going to mention one more player, Paul. I'm just going to very quickly put it in, and then you can move to your guy. But I'm going to say LV looks improved, looks healthy,
Oh yes,
looks
Yeah.
strong. He looks rearing to. He's one of my favorite players at the moment in preseason. But hit me with your guy, Paul, and then we'll move to the Chargers game this
I'm
weekend.
surprised we've not actually spoken about Chancellor Goldston playing
Chancellor
the
Goldston.
interior.
He did
He
fine.
looked really good.
Yeah.
He looked really good, Chancellor Goldston.
Yeah, I like
So-
it. And you can see
And
the
you
plan
can
for
see
him.
the size difference in him now from last season to now. He is putting a big substantial amount of weight to be in that defensive tackle position as the tech.
And you
he
can
looked
see
good.
how he's been in practice and how they used him in that game, what they're going to do with him. That
Yeah.
he's going to be that all utility up and down the line guy.
Yeah, I mean, it was his ability to get off the box and forcing the QB to move out the pocket, which I thought was quite good. So, and I'm just trying to look at all the other notes I've noticed. We've also spoke about Dante Fowler, like speed, getting to the quarterback, made a really good impression with the defensive line overall. So, yeah, it's looking pretty good from a defensive front. So, I am very happy.
Yeah.
And that's not even talking about our starters yet. These are our backups.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
I mean, Gallimore set the tone for that game on the first defensive play where he got in the backfield and ran down the running back for a 6-yard loss. I mean, that just set the tone how the running game was going to go.
Yeah, 100%. All right, let's move to the Chargers game then, and then we will start folding things up here. So here in the UK, kicks it off at 3 a.m. So
even later kickoff?
Even later. Sorry, mate. Even later.
Oh my god!
So that will be a slog over here.
I'm actually better going to my bed first.
That's what I'm doing.
Yep.
Early
Go to
night,
bed,
mate.
get up at 3.
Yeah, early night.
See, so for anyone across the States, like Marcus here, now you understand the pain we have to endure to stay up to watch these games on a regular basis at football season.
And imagine that on a Thursday.
And this is
or
why
I
no longer look like a 36-year-old. I look like I'm a 56-year-old man now at this rate. God help me.
Yeah. You started aging once we started doing this podcast, mind.
Oh, yeah, I've got no hair left.
There you go. So for you, Marcus, this weekend, what is it you're going to be watching, and what do you think people should be looking out for in this game against Chargers? Could be anything: play style, player, a certain quarter. What is it you're going to be watching, and what's the main focal point?
I got a couple of focal points. First, I'm going to be watching special teams because we talked about this. CJ Goodwin.
Yeah.
Who is he going to play? Is he going to be the gunner? Is he going to be the jammer? Pay attention to who's out there on punt and punt return because
of his speed. Yeah.
But if it's not him, then that may not speak very well of his position on the team because they could be trying to. And if it's not him, pay attention to how well the guy does who replaces him. Because I noticed last game, Jaquari Roberson was playing a lot of gunner. He looked pretty good. Not good when good, but looked okay. So if the guy who's out there is out there making a bunch of tackles, something to be aware of. And then in terms of defensive line, we talked about Ridgeway. Didn't really like what we expected. Let's see if his energy is a little bit higher this game.
Yep.
And then also, we should get Greer at quarterback.
Yes.
So,
he's healthy.
Yeah. We should get a much better look at what we have at wide receiver.
Yep.
Yeah, for me, I'm want to see the improvement in the interior of the O-line. Regardless who's in there, regardless if it's Farniak at center or guard or it's Bayadish or it's McGovern. Either way, I don't want to see two overcommitted double team blocks where you're missing out the kicker, kicking them and then moving up. You're not going up to the backfield. So I want to see improvement with that and the overall communication. So and maybe see what you were saying earlier, Marcus, was dipping them in and out like nearly every 2 snaps. So there's no that continuity. Give that line the whole drive rather than swapping them in and out halfway through. It's no helping anybody. You know what I mean? So have you set second starters or whatever that rotation is. Let them have that drive. Then the next drive, change it up. Whatever. Don't do it like after second down or third down. Do it when the drive's over.
Yeah. All right, Lorne.
At the least.
Oh, go on, Lorne.
I think again, same as last week. Wide receivers need to show another level. Fahoko was about the only one. Obviously, he was the only one who got the touchdown last week. We talked about Tolbert. For a few of the other guys as well, I think it was just that turning on of the headlights or whatever. It's startled rabbit sort of thing. So these guys need to show up. I think special teams as well. I've heard that Goodwin, his roster spot isn't safe. There is question marks about his speed, whether he's lost something. Yeah. And of course, that hanging with the boys are championing this year. So that's anyone they seem to champion seems to be next out the door as well. So, maybe things are not as good for him. And I just want to see a bit more improvement in the offensive line, particularly pass blocking.
All right. And I'm just go with a nice, easy one, yeah. I'll just say I'm going to be watching the kicking game. There we go. Mm-hmm. I'll just watch that. Who's kicking what? And are they making their kicks? They do that, I'm a happy man. My worries will just slowly drift away.
Let me address DJ Dog's question really quick.
Go on, man.
DJ Dog, I don't think Bland on special teams will affect Goodwin's position. I think Bland's play in general is going to affect Goodwin's position, just like it's going to affect Kelvin Joseph's position, because I don't think we can keep 7, and somebody has to be the odd man out. So what I'm saying is pay attention to who's playing special teams, because I don't think they've tried Bland at gunner or jammer, but just watch who's playing gunner or jammer. It may be a wide receiver. It may be a safety like Tyler Cole. I think they played him there a little bit. And just pay attention to how well those guys do, because if they play well at those positions, and they're already kind of seeded to be on the team, that may make him more expendable. Like if Simi Fahoko, who we all kind of think is going to be on this roster, if he's going to be your 4th receiver and he's also a good jammer and gunner, then that makes that 7th corner more expendable.
I'm with you there. So, yes, should be an interesting game. We definitely need to see improvement. I don't think this is going to be a penalty-ridden game. It's not going to be that type for sure. I don't see this being a dress rehearsal game either. People asking that. I just, nah. You're not going to really see it until
I think they're given the controlled scrimmages. I think that's the area that they're using the starters in. I think the games themselves are just being used for finding out what you've got as depth.
Agreed.
Yeah. So, and on one note, mind you, with Dak, I think he's been absolutely spot on so far, and he's not one who's renowned for being a good player in practice. He's always been a baller when the game comes on. He's a gamer.
Did you guys get a chance to watch any of the training camp stuff today from practice?
Only a little snippets. I seen Dennis Houston catching the game winner in there. I don't know if you've seen that. Have you? Houston catching.
I saw the tweet, but I haven't seen the actual play.
He's in the far corner. Basically, it's a corner out. He goes down, goes up, like jumps. Basically, high points the ball, comes down with it. It's a good play.
Yeah. I was going to say this. Dak's running a lot more in practice today.
Yeah.
I saw him run about 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
So
and that's only the limited amount of video that I have seen so far. It's quite interesting. But yes, we did promise we wouldn't keep you very long, mate. So it is always, though, a pleasure to have you with us, Marcus. And hold on.
I definitely appreciate it.
Yeah, there he is, all the way up there. Look, make sure, guys, to go and follow him. It is Bluff City Cowboys. He's on the top row on the right. You will always learn something new, because Marcus is always in touch with certain people over there, and he gets the inside scoop that we like.
Just a little bit.
Hey, mate, you get more inside scoop than us, so you've got that advantage, that's for sure. But yes, we will very quickly get one of the guys to roll this one out. Let's have a look. Paul did it.
Mike, your volume just went really weird all of a sudden. Yeah. But anyway, guys, if you're planning to go to a Dallas Cowboys game this year, be sure to go to cowboysexperience.com for the ultimate meet and greet, stadium tour, game ticket, and tailgating experience, where you get to meet players like Micah Parsons, Jay Novacek, Drew Pearson, Hall of Famer, Zach Martin, Travis Frederick, and many, many more. And like I said, when we go with Cowboys Experience, they will treat you like absolutely like royalty.
Mm-hmm. And of course, there's a travel package. Make sure to go and check our social media for the details on that. But Marcus, it was a pleasure. We'll have to definitely get you on again fairly soon when the season starts, because I do always really enjoy talking to you. And you did used to do your podcast, and I know things happen, and you had to slow down on it for the time being. So you're always welcome to come and join us.
Yeah, I'm definitely starting back when the season starts. So
baby,
the Cowboys on. It'll probably be just me.
That being said, we've got our fantasy football coming up.
Oh yeah,
the champ is here, going for our second year in a row.
So yeah, hopefully we can try to do a show with our draft as well.
Nice.
Yeah, because that was like absolute chaos, but it was amazing.
It was.
It's always Super Cowboy, always picturing Patrick Mahomes first round every time.
I think the Cowboys play at 6 p.m. my time next Friday, so
That's
we're
good.
kind of looking at doing it around that time.
Yeah, that's nice. That's a nice time.
So we'll see.
All right. But thank you very much for joining us, Marcus, and we will speak to you again. I'll speak to you off air. But Lorne, Paul, finishes off, and we'll get out of here.
Have a good one, guys. Go Cowboys.
Yeah, have a great week, guys. Following on from all the sports films that we were talking about last week, check stick scars, pain heals, glory lasts forever.
That's right, baby.